Hey gang, welcome back to the channel. My name's Nicky V. I'm a studio musician and producer here in Nashville. So I play guitar on people's records and started doing YouTube to try to peel back the curtain a little bit and show people what it's like playing on records, doing tracking sessions, doing some home overdubs and things like that. A few weeks ago, I did a video on how to dial in a great guitar tone. It had a huge response and the comment section blew up. I did my best to respond to everybody the best I could. And I posted a pinned comment in there about possibly doing a video on how to record guitar on a budget. And you really don't need to spend a ton of money on gear to record like great fundamental guitar sounds. And you can do a lot of it in the box now too. So I thought I'd do a video on that. And to keep things as honest as I could, I tried to gather an assortment of very cheap gear. And so this is a $200 Squire Telecaster. I bought this for one of my students for her 16th birthday. Actually, I borrowed it back from her for the video. Does it sound like my custom shop? No. Does it sound like a Telecaster? Yeah, it's great. It's lightweight. It's a top loader, which is kind of cool. It plays in tune, it stays in tune. And for interface, we have an SSL 2 Plus. Right now in Sweetwater, they're $200. I played probably 500 or more overdubs on this one before I upgraded my studio a few years ago. And for a microphone, we're going to be using an SM57. It's $100. If you don't have one of these, you need one. It's probably the most recorded mic in history, I would guess. And does it sound as good as a Royer 121 that's over $1,000? They're just two different things. There's been more guitars recorded on this than this, even though this is kind of like a modern classic now. We're going to use the cheap one. So all in all, we got $500 here. We got $200 in a guitar, $200 in interface, $100 in a mic. And instead of going through a bunch of guitar pedals, I'm going to use one guitar pedal. I'm going to use a Nobels ODR Mini. It's $58 and it's amazing. It sounds great. It's always going to sit great in a mix. It's super flexible. It has plenty of gain, or it can do like a perceived clean thing really nice. So all total, that's like $558. Not bad at all. And obviously there's cables and mic stands and stuff too, but the fundamentals of what you need to record guitar, that's pretty cheap in guitar world. There's no real cheat code to learning how to record electric guitar great. It's just understanding the basic fundamentals of signal flow and EQ. So we start off with a guitar. Any guitar you got sitting around is fine. From there we go into an overdrive pedal. If you don't have an overdrive pedal, that's all right. Just go straight to your amp. So overdrive pedal to amp, amplifier, gets a mic put on it. We're going to go through there and show you where the mic placement is as well. That mic cable runs into this audio interface right here. From there, it goes straight to Logic. That's it. No crazy outboard gear, no, outboard compressors or anything wild like that. Just raw, fundamental signal flow. So once it gets into Logic or whatever DAW you're using, I'm going to do my verbs and delays in post. And the reason I'm doing that is so you're not trying to track down a specific delay or reverb pedal I have here thinking that's the key to the secret of getting this sound. Just learn how to use the equipment you already have, or whatever gear you have at your disposal, learn how to use it. Experiment with it, turn the knobs, push them to their extremes, figure out what works for you. So what I think is going to be the best way of going about this is to actually build out a track. And I recorded some bass and a drum loop and a couple acoustic guitars on it, just so there's a foundation. And I'm going to sculpt out maybe a left and right part on one guitar here using just one overdrive pedal. I'm going to leave the amp where it is, try to do the rest in the tone knobs and volume knobs. So everything has its own little unique sonic space. And you're going to see how that comes together to build out a nice track. So here, let's go get the mic in the right spot, and I'll show you where the amp settings are. So I'm running a head separate from the cab, but if you're running a combo amp, it doesn't matter. The same exact principles apply. A 57 is very surgical, so we got to figure out exactly where to put this thing. If I feel around on my cabinet here, I can feel the edge of my speaker cone, right? So I feel an edge here, and I feel the edge here. That means my center is right here. What I typically like to do is to put the mic between the center of the cone and the edge of the cone. So I'm going to scoot that up to right there. So once again, if this is my edge and this is my edge, my center's here, which means between the center and the edge of the cone, so right back there on the mic. And what this does is this is going to give us a nice balance of low end and bite, because the closer you get to the center, you're going to get more bite. The closer you get to the edge, you're going to get more warmth and body, and it might get a little bit too dark though, so you kind of got to split that difference right there, which is what we're doing. But if you're not liking what you're hearing, say it's a little too muddy, you can scoot it closer to the center. Say it's a little too bright, you can scoot it out towards the edge of the cone a little more. You just got to find the sweet spot on your amp with your particular setup. You don't need to drop thousands on a vintage or some crazy high-end boutique amp. Just get you something that works, or whatever you have at the house, and learn how to use the equipment you already have. So this is a $900 amp. It's the cheapest amp I have in the house. It's a Paul Reed Smith HDR X20. Just a great starting point for most amps, like you see the basement here as well. Just put your treble on 7, your bass on 3. And what that does is it gives you some top end chime, and it rolls off that low end that's going to get muddy in the mix. And then just turn your volume up to where it starts to break up a little bit. It's literally that simple. This amp's got some crazy controls on it, but basically the presence is at like 1 o'clock. See, I got the bass at 9 o'clock, middle straight up, treble cranked to 3 o'clock. So these are set pretty similar, even though they have different layouts. Okay, so let's see what we're working with here. Pedals are off, no verb, no overdrive, no delay, no compression, no nothing. This is Telecaster straight into the amp with 157 on it. It's like a nice perceived clean sound that if I dig into it, it's going to sound great. That natural like amp compression with a little bit of breakup. If I play lightly, get that nice clean kind of chimey thing. And this might seem like a really thin, uninspiring tone when you're first hearing this, and that's because it is. But contextually, if you put it in the context of a mix, it's going to carve out its own sonic space, and that's the whole point of this, right? If it sounds great to you in a room, a lot of the time it's not going to sound great in a mix, and that's the paradox or the conundrum that we have to deal with as guitar players. Typically, what sounds great in a room, we're sitting there by ourselves, and there's this nice big lush sound with verb and delay, and it's nice and fat, and what we tend to like. If you put that in a mix, it gets washed out and it's this muddy mess all of a sudden. So these really thin, kind of terrible sounding guitar tones like this tend to be what actually sit better in a mix. And that's why the 57 is such a famous mic, because it's not big and round and warm like a lot of great mics are. It has this like very surgical, kind of knife cut to it that sits fantastic in the mid-range of a mix, which is where guitar lives. So let's see what these other pickups sound like. We got the neck pickup. That's pretty dark to me. If I'm going to use that, I'll probably have to put an EQ in front of it. But like I said, this is a $200 guitar. Is it the best sounding guitar in the world? No. Is it a good sounding guitar? It works. Yeah. It's $200. So middle position. Perfect. Sounds like a Tele middle. Back to the bridge pickup. There's that thin nasally bite that we hate that's going to sound great in the mix. So that's probably what we'll end up using most of the time. And you might have noticed this too. Like I'll probably be more predominant if I kick on the overdrive. So like here's the nobles. You hear that? It's like this. That's coming through. We don't want that in the mix. That's terrible. It's going to be this jangly, dissonant mess that's out of tune with everything else happening. So the way we get around that is if you got a roll of tape sitting around, tear you off a piece of it and stick it right here. Push against the strings, wrap around, do whatever you need to do. And now it's gone. It mutes it. I use a hair tie for obvious reasons, but you can use it. Some people use a capo like on their acoustic. They'll put it behind the nut. There's a piece of tape works and it's super cheap, obviously. So it might not look super cool, right? It's just a piece of tape, but we're recording guitar. Nobody's watching us do this. This is a sonic art form. Eliminate distractions. That's what a lot of great engineers are doing most of the time. It's just eliminating distractions. So let's start piling this into the mix and get some layers happening. I'm going to start with like a nice middle position thing, doing a dotted eighth part, the screen grab of it up here for you. And just something like this on the middle position has like a nice little bubbly roll to it. And the good thing about doing it in post is say I want a little more delay or a little less delay, I can adjust that on the back end. It's not going to tape like that, so I'm not committed to it necessarily. So let's put this in the mix and see how it sounds. So as you heard there, it's basically like a 4-bar pre-chorus. You think about like maybe like the end of a verse into a chorus. And the reason I did that is I wanted that dynamic shift from soft to loud. If you notice, I didn't hit anything or change anything on my guitar. I just started digging with my right hand more. And that's because I'm not using any compression anywhere other than what's naturally coming from the amp. So let's layer on another part, maybe like a jangly arpeggiated thing to kind of add some sparkle on the other side. So I'll pan one to the left, now I'll throw this to the right. And a little bit of delay on it, a little bit of overdrive, do the rest with our hands. Something like that, and then build into that chorus. Right, we have this bigger sound. I know that doesn't seem like a very big sound, but in the mix, when we start stacking that out and these guitar parts start compounding on themselves, it's going to sound huge. So here we go. you guys like this kind of stuff, please like and subscribe, and let me know what you want to learn next down in the comments. One of the best ways to support the channel is the affiliate links down there in the description. So if you want this guitar, for example, it's $200. I'll put the affiliate link to it. Sweetwater gives me a small cut. I'll put a link to like an SM57. If you're looking for a great starter audio interface, this SSL2 Plus is great. It's wonderful. So appreciate you guys. Let's keep moving. So at this point on one side, we have this kind of clean, bubbly dotted eighth note thing happening, and then it's rhythmic. And on the other side, we have this more jangly, flowy thing to contrast it. I want to have something in the middle now to kind of glue them together. And those last two parts are kind of in this range of the guitar down in here. So I'm going to move up into this part of the guitar neck and let it carve out its own sonic space just because of the range of the instrument now. And I got my overdrive pedal on. It's a little dirtier than I want. So I'm going to roll the volume back maybe like 20, 25%. I'm on the middle position, so I get this nice kind of bell-like quality to it now. It's a proceed clean once again. And when the chorus comes, instead of kicking on a pedal or automating something in the mix, what I'll do is I'll dig in with my right hand more, and I'll just turn the volume knob up. And I'll find a different part that kind of weaves in and out of that chorus to glue both of those sides together. So I have something bubbly and popping over here, jangle over here, and something gluing them in the middle. And each thing has its own sonic character, even though we're on the same guitar with the same amp, same everything. We're just using what we have. And some of you guys might have noticed this, but one thing I did is when I was playing the bell-like part on the pre-chorus, I guess, I was playing up here to get that bell-like tone. And then whenever I went to the chorus, I wanted a little bit more bite on it, so I just moved my hand back and picked closer to the bridge pickup with the volume bump. So we're providing a sonic lift with just our hands. That's the whole point of this video, right? Trying to get the most you can out of the gear you already have on small budgets. And, you know, I could grab different guitars, which is what I'd usually do on something like this, just to get different sonic scapes. I'm trying to pull as much out of one $200 guitar as I can. So now let's do a little lead layer on it. We're gonna go to the bridge pickup. Let's get this overdrive up a little bit more. And we get, I'm gonna pull that tone knob back just a tiny bit to take a little bit of that 4K off the top. So I get, we'll see if that works. Might be a little bit thin, but let's try it out. So this solo might have been a little too overdriven, but it felt kind of right. I don't know. I kind of like the aggressiveness of it. So if any of you guys are interested in guitar lessons, I do a bunch of teaching online through Skype and Google Meet. All you got to do is go to my website, which is nashvilletracking.com. Click the tab on the top that says lessons. It has all the time slots available. You just pick it, pay right there, and it goes straight to my Google Calendar. And it's pretty easy and straightforward. If any producers are watching this, you want guitar tracks, also through my website, nashvilletracking.com, I do a bunch on there as well as full production. So if you're a songwriter and want to get your songs recorded, I have a whole team of A-List studio musicians here in Nashville that I work with regularly. They're all super nice guys as well, and I think it makes a difference when you have like nice people working on your music. I think it comes through. If you guys have any questions, please let me know down in the comments. I do my best to respond to every single one of them, and I know I miss a bunch because there's a ton of them because the guitar community has a lot of big opinions. So let me know what you think in the comments. It's always fun. Special thanks to Kiersi Joli for really borrowing her telly back. Go check her out, guys. She's going to be a future A-List harmonica player. She's 16, and she's an absolute monster songwriter, great guitar player. One of the best ways you guys can help out the channel is to hit those affiliate links down in the description. So if you want like this guitar, I'll put a link to it, an SM57 in there, one of these SSL2 pluses. This is a great audio interface. If you're trying to figure out like what to start with, this is a really good one, and it's very, very affordable. So hit that. Sweetwater gives me a small cut. Thank you guys. I appreciate you hanging out. Hope you have a wonderful day.